Staging the Henrician Court in 2009 was a groundbreaking piece of work for historic royal palaces. We know that some of the events that shaped the history of Britain happened in our palaces. So to reenact a historic performance gave us immensely important new insights into the purpose and function of our palace buildings, how they actually work.
This is the Great Hall at Hampton Court. It's a theatrical space, and it's one of the only spaces, there are only 2 spaces in the country, where we know for a fact that Shakespeare or Shakespeare's plays were performed in his lifetime.
And now to our matter.
What the AHRC funding allowed us to do was actually take a play which was written and produced in 1532-33 and stage it in this original space. And it was about finding or exploring ways of investigating that drama through performance.
That your wealth and his honour may stand best.
Henry's court kept all the records for the shows, but they only cared about things which really cost money. Candles cost much more than actors. So we used a play, which is a play called The Play of the Weather, to investigate how this space worked as a theatre.
Gracious God, if your will so be, I pray you let me speak a word with you.
So we didn't know where the set was, where the audience were, things like that. So we tried those out through drama.
Sir, here standeth a suitor, even here behind, a gentleman in yonder corner, and as I think his name is Master Horner.
Play of the Weather is a play which we know was performed in the winter of 1532-33. This is a play which is an allegory on religious change. But this is also a play which is all about the change from Catherine Aragon to Anne Boleyn. Jupiter comes down, and Jupiter is obviously Henry, and he says, I'm fed up with humans asking for different kinds of weather. I want someone to organise a process by which people can come and ask me for the weather they want. And then a whole collection of characters turn up. So a gentleman turns up, a merchant turns up, a ranger turns up, and they all ask for very, very specific weather. The watermiller wants lots of rain, the windmiller wants lots of wind.
You done?
And at the end, Jupiter says, right, if I gave you what you wanted, it would be a disaster. I'm going to leave the weather as it is because that's the best. It's an interesting play because it's John Heywood, the author, saying, yes, Henry should be in charge, but he shouldn't actually change anything to do with religion. Staging we ended up with, which was this long promenade, actually worked very well. It meant it was a performance which very much involved the audience.
I am a windmiller.
We separated the audience between men and women. So we had women sitting on one side of the hall and men sitting on the other side of the hall. We know they did that in the Tudor court. What was fascinating, and this was one of the really positive things about performances research, was it changed the nature of the play. Play of the Weather is a very sophisticated political play, but it also has a lot of very bawdy jokes in it.
Let me kiss you.
Kiss me, quotha? Why, nay, sir, I wish you.
What? Yes.
Now, if all the men are watching all the women reacting to a bawdy joke, that changes the nature of that exchange. It changes the nature of the text. So suddenly this audience experience became very charged. And therefore, for me and for Professor Greg Walker, who was the co-I, who'd edited Play of the Weather for Oxford University Press, we learnt things about the text through performance that we didn't know before.
We're delighted to be working with Professor Tom Betteridge again on performing the Stuart Masque. This project is based at the Banqueting House in Whitehall. It's the Grade 1 listed building designed by Inigo Jones, and that presents a number of logistical problems. So we're working with Professor Betteridge to use digital technologies and performance-based research in order to explore and find ways in which digital technologies can compensate for things like 50 burning torches, which would have lit the original performance, which obviously we cannot put under Rubens' painted ceiling.
So we will be looking at CGI, we were looking at virtual reality, we were looking at augmented reality, and which will allow us to create a mask experience, but without building the actual set, which would be impossible.
Depart hence quickly to the gentlemen and all other suitors here, and command them all before us to appear.
In some ways, putting on Play of the Weather is interesting in itself, in the sense of we've staged a play which would never get staged by, not just by commercial theatre, but even by subsidised theatre. It's a very obscure piece of drama. It's not like we expect theatre to be. But from a research point of view, what's really important is we don't know how this space functioned as a theatrical space or a dramatic space. There are no recorded descriptions of plays being performed at court before the reign of Elizabeth I. So the only way to research on these things is to perform the plays. And in fact, if you look over the last 5 years, there have been a lot of articles engaging with and discussing and talking about what we did here. And therefore it becomes a springboard for further research. That's the purpose. So it's a way of expanding what we can do.